Have you been thinking about getting the Ninja Foodi Dual Zone Air Fryer? Do you have a young family and you're wondering if a dual zone air fryer is the right choice for you? Or perhaps you're just curious to hear what all the hype is about with this thing here. Well, in this video, I'm going to be giving you my in-depth review, all my thoughts and pros, cons of the Ninja Foodi Dual Zone Air Fryer. This is going to be the video for you. Is it worth it? My full thoughts are coming up in this video, so do keep on watching. Hi, if you're new here, my name's Grace and I've got a young family. I make content all about motherhood, I review lots of products like this, and I've had my Ninja Dual Zone Air Fryer for just over a month now, so I'm going to give you my full thoughts. I've used it literally since I've had it. I think I've had it 5 weeks today, so as I say, just over a month, and I believe in that time I haven't used my oven once. So there's a little spoiler alert as to whether I've been getting on with the air fryer here, but we'll get into all of that in a minute. So I thought I'd just let you know which one I've got. I've got the slightly smaller one, which is currently retailing in the UK for £219. So it includes 2 times 3.8 litre cooking drawers, which is a total of 7.6 litre capacity. It's got 2 crisper plates and it comes with a chef created recipe guide. This air fryer comes with 6 different cooking functions. It's got max crisp, air fry, roast, reheat, dehydrate and bake. So there's a lot to get into in this video. With all that said, I'm now going to get into my review of the air fryer, and I'm going to start with all the positive things, all the things I really like about the air fryer, and there's a lot, so let's get going. First up, it is simple to use. This is really foolproof. It literally took me about a day to get the hang of using it. It's really not very difficult. Obviously there's lots of YouTube videos if you don't want to be reading the instructions, but it's very quick and easy to get your head around, as using it to its kind of like full capacity, like by day 2. On the first day that I used it, I didn't get the sync function matching properly. I'll talk about that in a minute, the different sort of like options that you've got to cook, but it's very easy to use and I love that. It's just so simple, straightforward and quick to use. And then talking of quick, obviously the biggest positive about using an air fryer is that they are so much quicker than your conventional oven. So as I mentioned, I have not used my oven once since I've had this, because obviously I've been trying to test it out for my own purposes as well, for the purpose of this review, but I have used it every day, at least once a day, and it is very quick. It's also a healthier alternative to cooking with your oven because it requires little or no oil, so it's much more healthy for you, and it is so quick and it makes the food delicious. Like everything that we've cooked in here has been a big roaring success with the whole family. I don't think anything has been not enjoyed in this air fryer, which is another thing that I really love about the Ninja Foodi Dual Zone Air Fryer, is that it's kind of re-sparked some joy in my life with cooking. I'd got to a really stale phase, never knew what to do for dinner, it was just like repetitive food. Now I've got this, I feel like I'm a little bit more sort of experimental again, where I used to be. Where I've had my 2 young children, it was literally just simple meals all the time, because that's what my children eat, which I'll go on to in a minute, which is another positive thing about this air fryer. But I just feel like it sparked some joy back into cooking for me again, which I really needed, because I even want to cook healthy meals. Like whereas before I had this, I was buying like oven chips. I've gone back to like making our own homemade chips in this, and that's another point that I want to make, is that the possibilities are literally endless with this thing. We do so much in here. Like, well, I say we. I do so much in here. I'm the cook in this house. Like literally, if you want to see more kind of like things that I use it for, I will keep that to a separate video, but like sausages are so quick in the air fryer, like compared to the oven. You can literally have sausages cooked, like 8 sausages cooked in under 25 minutes. It was taking me double to cook that in my conventional oven. We love homemade chips, like I just said, chicken burgers. I make these really nice little breakfast egg muffins for me and the boys and my husband. Yeah, the possibilities are endless, and that is just something that has kind of made me feel a little bit more enthusiastic about cooking. It makes me think, oh, what are we going to have tonight? What can I cook in the air fryer? Obviously this isn't going to be for everyone, but I feel like for busy mums, that might help you. This would definitely help you sort of spark some joy back into cooking your like evening meals and just cooking in general. Like I say, I use this at least once a day. Like sometimes I'll put it on for breakfast, we'll do bacon in the morning, and then I'll use it in the evening. Like it's already had so much use, which I love. Obviously, this is the dual zone one, which I want to get into the points about this now. So the option to be able to cook 2 things at once is brilliant. One, being a young busy family, so like one night, say we're having like some salmon fillets or something, which I know that my children probably aren't going to eat, let's be real. I always give them the little option to try it, but like we could put some salmon fillets in one drawer and then the kids' fish fingers would be in the other drawer. And you've got the option here to sync, which means that you can start, the salmon would obviously take a little bit longer than the fish fingers, so you could start the salmon cooking and then you press the sync option and then drawer 2 will kick in so that they finish at the same time, so that if you're a family that eats together at all the same time, which we do, we all eat as a family all at once, everything finishes in the air fryer at the same time. And I love that. And you can also have, like, obviously drawer 1 can be on air fryer, drawer 2 could be on max crisp if you're doing something frozen. So there's just so many possibilities with this, which I am loving. That's just so practical for busy family, I think, having the option to be able to do your dinner in one side, their dinner in the oven, like an oven really. It's just brilliant. At the minute we are all kind of watching our electricity use, our gas and stuff like that, and another positive thing about the air fryer is that it is more cost effective to run because it's so much quicker than a conventional oven, and I think that they have like lower watts than your oven does. It's going to be saving you money on your energy bill, like especially if you use it for a long period of time, which is obviously a bonus for everyone right now too. Then obviously, because this is the Ninja and there are so many different options, that is another positive thing about the air fryer. You've got the max crisp, which is good for like making frozen things really nice and crispy and cooked nicely. Then you've got the standard air fryer. You've got roast if you wanted to do some roast potatoes, reheat if you just wanted to heat something up, dehydrate, I haven't actually used that one yet, but if you wanted to make like some sliced apple, like dried fruit, that kind of thing. And then you've got bake for like baking goods, which I haven't even done yet. So this is just what I like about it so much, is that the possibilities are absolutely endless with the air fryer. Another thing that I think is quite a good positive thing about the air fryer is that the size of it isn't not too bad at all. I don't actually think, for a double dual air fryer, I think that the size is pretty nice. It's not huge, it's not small, but I feel like this would fit in most standard size kitchens. Like, we've got a pretty medium size, it's not small, it's not large, and we've got a fair amount of workspace units, and it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. It's not huge, it's just right really. And I think that because it looks so nice and smart, it's quite like, it just streamlines in with the rest of your kitchen appliances. A positive thing if you're limited for space. Obviously take the measurements, but I don't feel like this, for what you can do in here, for what it's capable of, I think the size is very good. Another thing that I will quickly mention is that this food guide, which comes with your Ninja, is actually really, really handy. It's quite a good reference if you're brand new to using an air fryer. Like, we had an air fryer, a single one before this, so I had an idea of how to use them and how long certain things would take. But if you're brand new to using an air fryer, this is going to be so useful. It's like a little reference book. So I've got like your instructions if you want to flick through it if you're new to it, and it's got all of these like references for like vegetables that you can air fry, the temperature and how long, that sort of thing. And it's also got some recipes in there as well. So I thought that was quite a nice little addition to coming with it, especially, like I say, if you've never had an air fryer and you're completely new to it. It is like, you do have to get your head around certain things, so that's a really good reference rather than having to go online to look for a reference or a YouTube tutorial. It does come with quite a good handy book, so I would recommend checking that out if you do buy the Ninja Dual Zone. I use it quite a lot still as well, and I quite like it, so I just thought I'd point that out. And then of course, if you can't already tell, the performance of the food that this makes is just delicious. Everything, like I think I've already said, obviously, that everything that comes out of this is so yummy. It cooks chicken deliciously. It's almost like crisp on the outside and then really tender on the inside. The burgers have been really good. Bacon's really crispy and crunchy. Sausages are great. And yeah, I'm just really, really happy with the overall way that this air fryer performs. And I'm still looking forward to trying out like all the different settings, like doing some baking in it and maybe try some options on the dehydrate. So yeah, I think it's really, really good at what it does. And very importantly as well, I want to mention that this is simple to clean. Here we have the drawer, got this little plate, very easy to wash. They are suitable for the dishwasher. Apparently the whole thing is dishwasher suitable. I've never put the drawer in, I must say, but I do put the little rack in. the dishwasher sometimes, and I'm going to do a separate video all on how I clean this when it's like really greasy, because I have seen some people say that when they clean it, it still has quite a greasy film, but I've got a way of cleaning this and it never leaves like a greasy film. It's super clean inside, and I literally done like greasy bacon in there last, like obviously the bottom gets quite greasy after you cook bacon, so it's really simple to clean. So I am going to do a full video on that, so stay tuned for that. But it's great that it's not really laborious and hard to clean. So that's all of the things that I love about the air fryer. So now I'm going to move on to some things that are not as good about the air fryer, but I still overall think that it's worth it. But these are just some things for you to weigh up for your own research and stuff like that. So obviously people would say that the cost of it can be a bit of a turn off, because it is an investment, let's face it. At over £200, it's not a cheap appliance, but I personally feel like the things that this does justify the price, and because it's always outstanding performance, I feel like it does justify the price. Plus, I've used it so much, I feel like I'm going to get my money's worth out of this. But for some people, the price might be a bit of a con. Another thing is that it does take a little bit of working out sometimes. You do have to get used to using this, which is partly because of another thing, which is a con, is that the shape of these drawers can sometimes make things a little restricting. Not sure if you can see, obviously they're quite an unusual shape. So I have also seen other people in their reviews say that it's hard to get things to fit in, then you have to buy like extra accessories for it, which I'm going to mention in a minute, some things to consider having with this air fryer. But the shape of it can make cooking certain things like a little bit tricky. Like I think you could probably get a small chicken in there just if you squashed it in. Like quiche, like round things are quite difficult to cook in here. I tend to just kind of like squash them in, just because I don't want to use my oven, because I love this so much. But obviously because it's got that kind of rectangular shape, it does make cooking certain things a little bit tricky, but I do work around that. But that is something to consider. The only slight improvement of this, which actually my mum said to me would be quite a good idea if they designed this, where maybe one drawer was slightly bigger than the other drawer. So if you wanted to do a load of meat in one drawer, that would be the bigger one, or for like a chicken, it might be quite a good idea, like in future, for them to have drawers that are one slightly smaller than the other, because sometimes you're going to be cooking more than one thing, more of one thing, if that makes sense. But I work around it. This might not be the case with the bigger air fryer, because the drawers are going to be that much bigger. So that is maybe just a little con of the 7.8 litre capacity, is that you do have to work around the space sometimes. So if you're a larger family, I don't think this one would be for you. I think you'd want the size up. This is perfect for like a family of 4, and especially at the minute as my kids don't eat like loads. That would be something to consider, what size to get if you are a bigger family. Then last but not least, a little bit of a con about the air fryer, which I think this might be for generally in air fryers that have got like a similar design, is that you do actually have to think quite carefully about where you're going to locate this on your worktop, because at the back, I'll try and include a screenshot, it's got these little air vents which shoots up lots of hot air. So originally I did have my air fryer on the unit behind me here, but it was shooting up a lot of hot air at the back, and my tiles were absolutely dripping wet behind me here, and I was worried that the heat was going to sort of affect. Obviously I've got these lovely cabinets behind me here, I didn't want to have anything above it directly because of the heat of it, and I found that within a few days of using it. So I've actually moved it in my, it doesn't live here, I'm just filming it, I'm just put it here for the sake of this video, but I've actually moved it somewhere where there's not like any cupboards above it, and it's got some space at the back, because it was just making everything quite wet with condensation, and like I say, I was just concerned that the heat was going to be a problem for things above it. So that is something to keep in mind about this air fryer. It lets off like quite a bit of heat around it and at the back, so like you might just want to move it around a little bit in your kitchen before you finally decide where you're going to put it. So that was a little bit of a con, because I originally wanted it here where I have my like usual oven, but I've had to settle to put it somewhere else, and I do actually have to thread like an extension lead along the back because I don't actually have a plug socket where it works best. But that is just something to consider where you put the air fryer. Other than that, I feel like all the pros completely outweigh the cons, and I'm obsessed with it. Like I say, it's been used so much already. and I'm just really pleased with it, and I feel like, if you can't already tell that, it's been money well spent so far. So that's my review. But now I'm just going to, while I've got your attention on the Ninja and while I'm talking about it in detail, I thought I would let you know some items that you might want to get that will help if you do decide to get this or a similar one. Some things that you might want to sort of like help make this a more smooth transition from your conventional oven. So these are some accessories that I like. As I mentioned, I'm shortly going to be filming how I clean the air fryer, but before you get the air fryer, or if you've already got it, you want to get a bag of soda crystals, a Dishmatic with a less abrasive sponge so that it's not going to like scratch the inside of it too much. And then you also want some liquid soda crystals. So I'm going to demonstrate exactly in detail how I clean it in another video, but they are the things that I use, but I will actually show you in more depth. So there's a little idea of what I use to clean it with. Now, lots of people say it's hard to find things that fit in the air fryer. I did some really geeky measuring up to find the perfect size glass container that fits in the air fryer beautifully. I'm not going to do it right now because both my children are napping and it's probably going to make a big noise. This is a Pyrex dish that I got from Amazon. I'll leave all the details to it down below, and it fits in perfectly. It does only leave a tiny little gap to get it out, which you do have to work around, which I'll explain in a minute. But this is the dish that I use. This is the glass dish that I use to do like pasta bakes, lasagna, fish pie, that kind of thing, shepherd's pie. That's another thing that's a little bit of a downfall, is that obviously for like me and my husband, it's not the biggest size. So if you're a really hungry family, or if you've got like large appetites, definitely get a bigger size air fryer, but that's fine for me and my husband. So that's the dish there. I will leave a link to it down below. And then, as I mentioned, that because there is only a little gap to lift that out of the drawer with, I've invested in some of these silicone oven gloves. The reason being is that when, say, I've done a shepherd's pie or something like that, I pull the drawer out and I'll put it over where I dish up. The reason that I've got these is I will use like a big serving spoon. I'll scoop up like the first serving and put it straight on the plate, and then to get the dish out, I will use the oven glove and I will kind of pick it up inside the dish, so it will get a little bit of like food on it. So this is why these sort of silicone ones are really handy, because you can see probably that this has got a little bit of like food on it, but you can wipe it all up, and it's not like a traditional oven glove where if it was cotton or like material, it would just stain it. You can wipe that up, and they're just really handy anyway, these sort of silicone oven gloves. So they're really handy to have with the air fryer, and they're not like majorly expensive. They're like £10 or £11 off Amazon. If you don't already, which you probably do because it's quite a common thing to have in your kitchen anyway, but some like long handled tongs are really ideal to like turn things round, serve it up with. I literally got these in the pound shop in Poundland for £1, so you don't have to spend a lot of money on something like that. And then I also like the rack. It gives you some options to like cook things on on 2 different levels. Something that you've probably already got anyway, but it's quite handy and useful and worth knowing, is a heat-proof surface. When you get the drawer out, they're quite hot, so I just like pull the drawer out and put it on something like that, so it's not on my worktop, because I don't want to ruin my worktop. They are just a few little things that you might want to consider getting along with the Ninja if I have convinced you enough to go ahead with buying the Ninja, or if you're wondering what all the hype is about, these are some things that I find really helpful when having the air fryer and using it. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this review. Stay tuned for my how I clean it video, that will be coming really shortly. I will film that this week as well, so that'll be up like around the same time as the review, so I'll leave a link to that. If you've got any questions, leave them down below for me. Let me know, have you got this air fryer? Do you like it? Are you gonna get it after you've watched this video? Or just let me know what you think about air fryers in general. Like, I'm obsessed with mine, as you probably can tell. I'm really enjoying using it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye.